Welcome to Base Camp Blue Sky. It's Aqua Hot maintenance time. Time to get dirty. Oh, it's a beautiful day today. It's nice enough even to do a little maintenance on the RV today. One of the projects that I've been meaning to do for quite a while is service the Aqua Hot. This Aqua Hot is our primary hot water system here on the camper for domestic hot water, but it also is a hydronic hot water for interior heat. We have 4 little radiators inside that heat up the cabin. It needs to be serviced annually, and one of our problems that we've had is we've been living out of it. So part of it is I didn't want to upset the machine while we were still living in it without having a backup. Now that we have a CO for the barn, we have hot water here, so I can now do a little service work on it. But one of the problems is it's been snowy and cold outside. I suspect I'm going to lose some diesel on the floor here and make it smelly, and I wanted to have open doors so I could at least air it out. Today's a great day to do that. So here we go. Alright, we're underneath the RV. We're on our jacks, so it isn't going anywhere. But this is where the filter is, the fuel filter is for the Aqua Hot. And so, looks like it'll fit. It's the same brand. That's what I bought a couple of months ago, but you just never know. You know, I sometimes don't get that lucky and have the right parts, or sometimes they just don't fit, or usually something goes wrong. So hopefully this goes well. I got these fancy little clamps here so we can pinch off the fuel lines. So let's see if we can do that. Pinch it off so that it doesn't leak on us. There, so it shouldn't leak much. I don't have to take them off or nothing, but when you take this thing off, I suspect the oil will come out. Maybe I should get a bucket just in case too. Let me do that. I'm gonna go get a bucket. All right, they already dented it, so this was on pretty tight. Had to use 2 hands to get it loose. I got my fancy little rubber band oil filter thingy. Let's see if we can get it off before we make a mess. There we go. This thing is very handy. Got some disposable rags. Let me roll up my sleeve so I don't get oil on that. Center the bucket. Some fuel. Maybe I should have worn a glove, huh? Now my hand will smell like diesel. Oh, god damn it. So that's what I didn't want to happen. See, always something. I gotta clean up this mess before it makes a big mess, a bigger mess. Alright, we've wiped up the mess as best we can right now. And this smells like diesel underneath here. That's kind of why I wanted to have it with open doors, so the diesel smell didn't permeate this place. But I noticed they sent a O-ring in this kit, and I wasn't sure where it was going to go. But I saw there was one up here, and I took it off, and it looks like it's the same size. So that must be where this O-ring is going to go. So we'll roll that one on, a new O-ring, and a new filter. So whenever you get a filter, you always want to make this rubber moist. And I'm using the leftover diesel fuel from the spill. Well, let's snug it up and Not too snug, but snug enough for it not to come off. Let's loosen this clamp. And that part of this deal is done. That was going to be the messiest, dirtiest, I hope. Let me clean up this joint here and move on to the next step. So this is the inside of the Aqua Hot. This thing came out of there pretty easy. It was pretty easy to get out before. It has these two little, I don't know, swivelly things that you just loosen the nut on and you swivel them out of the way. And then you got to take the fuel lines off. And here's the little burn nozzle for the burn chamber. And the two little electrodes that arc to start it. I'm not going to remove those electrodes because they're kind of tricky to place. There's a little device that's bolted to the side housing here that you take off and align them with. I did that once already and I don't want to do it again. But basically, we're going to replace this nozzle that's on the outside there with this guy. That says 035 and this says 135. Oh, there's an 035 there. US versus kilograms per hour. US gallons per hour. Okay, so it's the right one. It matches. So anyway, it's pretty easy. Let me go get some wrenches. So it took a 3/4 to hold the bottom nut and a 5/8 to hold this top, or to get the top one, which is the actual nozzle nut. So you pull that one out, put the new one in. Looks a little black in there, but hell, we've been using it every day for almost 2 years. Okay, let me get the wrenches back out. Here's the burn chamber. Maybe we ought to clean the soot off of this too. Yeah, let me clean the burn chamber up a little bit. Well, there, the motor's back in. Pretty easy connecting up the wires, but I also have a problem with our hot water electric heater, and I see that some wires here are melted. So I'm going to pull them apart. I'm going to take a picture, so if I have to put them back together, I know which ones go where.
Oh, photos are good. And finding damaged stuff is good.
Alright, we're in the bay here, the Aqua Hot bay. Still working on the hot water project. But what it looks like, this cable here is just a sheathed 12 gauge regular house wire. It's got a neutral, a hot, and a ground. And it looked to me like the neutral pin on that block must have come loose or gotten loose and started arcing and melted. I cut off all the melted stuff and shortened this. There was room here to shorten it to get enough wire to go through and rewire it. So what I've done is I've used wire nuts just to rewire the darn thing. And now I've turned it all back on. So the breakers are on. This here gauge is working. It says we got electric heat. And heating status says heating. I haven't popped a breaker yet. I'm getting hot water, so that means the thing is working. But I'm going to keep an eye on it just to see, make sure we're not going to melt anything down again. But it looks to me like we just had a loose connection and it arced and failed. All right. We're here in the garage this morning. While it's snowing outside, I'm gonna finish up working here on the Aqua Hot. Yesterday afternoon it was warm enough for me to open up the doors, and we ran the diesel part of the Aqua Hot One thing that I forgot to say or forgot about was this access cover. There's a micro switch down below it that prevents the diesel part from running if the cover is missing. And I was trying to get it to run for maybe an hour, and I had to sit down and think about it. And the micro switch, so you put the cover back on and it basically engages the micro switch, and it probably did 5 cycles yesterday. It operates, but it's still shut down. It did a hiccup, and that's kind of the problem we've been running into, is every now and then it just hiccups and stops. When it's cold outside, that's a problem. So today I'm going to take it back apart and readjust the little electrodes, something I didn't really want to do. We'll make sure the sensor is clean, something I didn't do before. And that's pretty much the only other things that we could possibly do to make this thing more reliable. But that's the project for this morning, so here we go. There, it's out. That way I can see it on the workbench better. So up here on the workbench, I've got a couple other projects in process. But here's the nozzle that we put on yesterday, and I'll be checking these 2 electrodes and cleaning that sensor right there. That might really be the culprit, is the sensor is dirty. So yeah, I gotta go get some brake clean. Here's the little gauge. It's on the side of the block. So I'll get that off and we'll put that on there and see if those electrodes are in the right spot. So here's this little gauge. What we've got here is I need to adjust these electrodes just a little bit higher. The way the guy explained it is you want to feel the tips right at the corners of this little notches here where they're supposed to be, but you're not wanting to feel it poking you. So right now I can't even feel the tips, so we're not quite in the right height is what it looks like. All right, I think we got it adjusted. This little bend here sits right on top of the nozzle, and then you push on it with your finger, and if you can feel the tips, you're good. If it's poking you, you're too high. And they're right in the middle of their gauge cutouts there. So I think that's adjusted right. I've snugged it down. Now we'll go and clean it. So I gotta find my brake clean. Oh, puppy, hang on. Let me go get the dog. I'm really happy with all that. The sensor is super clean. The electrodes are in the right spot and clean. All this stuff here is looking really good. I think I'll put it back in. Wash my hands and figure out what the dog is barking at. Well, it seems to be running just perfectly fine. I'm waiting for it to shut off, see if it does a little poof right at the end. And I've got the doors open because this is probably the warmest it's going to be today, right now. So we're supposed to be getting into the teens here this afternoon and tonight. So I wanted to run this to get it the first cycle pushed through. So that's what I'm doing with the doors open. Obviously, we don't want to get carbon monoxide poisoning. Well, that was about an 8-minute burn. I didn't see any white smoke. I can smell just a little bit of soot smell, but it's not bad at all. So I think our adjustments here have been successful. Yeah, I'll button up this here bonnet here when it's done. I do want to take it off real quick just to check for leaks and stuff, but I think we're good. Alright, I got the bonnet back off. Don't see any leaks. Everything looks good. I don't know if that was from last when I was putting it back together. My plan is, because I think this moves and wiggles and causes the connection down here to possibly come loose, we're gonna get another connector for it and probably shorten this yet again to give me enough wire to put a loop in there so that it has some flexibility. I think that's what's happened here, is this is just jiggled in time as we go down the road and pulled on those wires because there wasn't any room. They were snug onto it, and it must have pulled the neutral loose and caused our problems. But I'm gonna button it back up and close this bay door and move on. It's been a couple months since we worked on the Aqua Hot, and I think the maintenance that we did to it has worked out wonderfully. I haven't had or seen any issues with it so far. For sure, we gotta knock on wood. That was a pretty good maintenance project. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. Hit the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you next time.